Today is March 3rd, and the portal that ancient traditions have tracked for thousands of years, the Blood Moon Portal, is already open. Right now, as you're watching this, there is a window of energy available that exists for less than 24 hours and then closes completely. The mystery schools didn't share this knowledge publicly. The priests of ancient Egypt didn't teach these practices to everyone. They preserved them for the exact moment you are living right now, the moment when the blood moon aligns with the 333 gateway, creating what the Hermetic tradition calls a threshold, a point where the boundary between intention and manifestation becomes thin enough to cross. You have found this at the right time. What you do in the next few hours will matter more than what you do in the next 30 days. Most people will go through today the same way they went through yesterday. They'll check their phone, scroll through noise, move through the motions, completely unaware that the energy field surrounding them right now is operating at a frequency that will not return in this exact configuration for a very long time. The Blood Moon Portal isn't a metaphor. It isn't superstition. It's what ancient civilizations independently observed and recorded across thousands of years, that when the moon reaches this particular fullness and aligns with a specific numerical gateway, the field of consciousness becomes unusually permeable, unusually responsive. What you direct your attention toward today matters more than on any ordinary day. The question is whether you know what to do with it. What makes today different from any other full moon isn't just the lunar event itself, it's the 3-3 gateway. In Hermetic numerology, the number 3 carries the energy of the Trinity: creation, preservation, and transformation. It's not coincidental that Hermes Trismegistus, the figure at the center of Hermetic tradition, is called thrice great, 3 times great. The mystery schools taught that when any energy appears in triple form, it amplifies the field exponentially rather than simply adding to it. March 3rd creates a double 3 gateway beneath a blood moon. The ancient seers who mapped these intersections didn't call them portals by accident. They called them thresholds because something genuinely changes when you cross one, not metaphorically, energetically, in your field. If this kind of knowledge calls to you, the kind that was preserved in ancient traditions for exactly this moment, subscribe to this channel. This is where we decode what the mystery schools preserved and bring it into practical use right now. Here's what matters about timing. The Blood Moon Portal doesn't stay open indefinitely. Ancient Egyptian priests understood that peak lunar portals have a precise window, not an indefinite energetic shift, but a window that opens, reaches its apex, and then closes. During the Ptolemaic period, lunar ceremonial practices were timed to within hours of peak illumination, not because the priests were superstitious, but because empirical observation across generations had shown them that the window has boundaries. What you initiate inside a portal window carries a different energetic signature than what you initiate outside it. If you are watching this today, March 3rd, 2026, you are inside the window. That is not accidental. Something in your field navigated you here. The Kybalion, one of the most significant preserved texts of the Hermetic tradition, teaches the law of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The mystery schools didn't teach this as abstract philosophy. They taught it as operational intelligence. Every river has its flood season. Every field has its planting window. The Hermetic tradition holds that the same law operating in nature operates in consciousness. There are seasons for manifestation just as there are seasons for harvest. A blood moon doesn't create something out of nothing. It amplifies what is already in motion, the way a tide doesn't create water but moves more of it, faster, further than any ordinary moment could. Today is the tide. What you plant in it grows at a different rate than what you plant in still water. What makes the convergence of ancient traditions around blood moon portals remarkable isn't that one culture observed it. It's that three independent cultures, working in complete isolation from each other, arrived at the same operational conclusion. The ancient Egyptians tracked lunar cycles with extraordinary precision, recording energetic observations alongside astronomical data in ceremonial texts. The Vedic tradition of India mapped lunar phases as directly influencing consciousness itself, building a calendar system specifically designed to track which moments carried which quality of potential. The Maya, working thousands of miles from both, developed one of the most precise lunar calendars in history because they understood that time is not uniform. Some moments carry more potential than others. All three pointed to blood moons as amplification windows. Three separate civilizations. On convergent observation, on an energetic level, the blood moon is understood across traditions as an activation of the subconscious field. The moon has governed water since before recorded history. It moves oceans. The human body is approximately 60% water. Ancient seers who recognized this didn't reach for metaphor, they reached for mechanism. What the moon does to the ocean, it does in proportion to the fluid systems of the body, and by extension to the energetic field that those systems generate. During a blood moon, the lunar influence is maximized. What is typically below the surface of awareness, patterns, frequencies, programs, running without your conscious direction, rises. That is the portal, not out there in the sky, in you. The blood moon is a mirror being held up to your own interior. The blood moon portal doesn't last for days. This is where popular understanding of full moon energy gets imprecise. The Hermetic tradition is more specific. The window opens in the hours surrounding peak lunar fullness and closes as the peak passes. After that, the energy normalizes. What was amplified returns to its ordinary level. The mystery schools preserved practices specifically designed for this window, because they understood that what you plant in an amplified field grows faster and stronger than what you plant in ordinary conditions. You are inside that window now. Every practice you do today, every intention you set, everything you release, every clarity you claim, lands in a field that is actively listening. The window is measured in hours. This is why you need to act today. In Pythagorean numerology, one of the foundational streams of Western esoteric tradition, 3 is the number of synthesis, the resolution of the tension between 1 and 2. Where 2 creates conflict, 3 creates resolution. Pythagoras and his students observed that when 3 appears multiplied by itself, it doesn't simply double, it squares, creating 9, the number of completion. 9 is the only single-digit number that, when multiplied by any other number, returns to itself through reduction. 9 times 2 is 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. 9 times 7 is 63. 6 plus 3 equals 9. Without exception. The 9 practices available inside today's portal aren't arbitrary. They map to 9 specific fields that the 333 Blood Moon Gateway activates. And Pythagorean mathematics says that 9 is exactly the right number for a completion cycle. What makes today's convergence rare is the layering. A blood moon alone is significant. The 3-3 gateway alone carries energetic weight. The year 2026, which in Hermetic numerology reduces to 10, then to 1, marking a new cycle, adds a third layer. The Hermetic tradition teaches that energy behaves like sound. Individual frequencies create notes, but when multiple frequencies align at precise intervals, they create harmonics, overtones louder and more powerful than any of the individual notes. What you are experiencing today isn't one energetic event, it is 3 layers of energy moving in the same direction at the same moment. The ancient seers who tracked these alignments, and many did, with extraordinary precision across multiple traditions, would have marked today in every record they kept. Right now, write in the comments today's date, March 3rd, 2026, and finish the sentence. I write whatever you are activating today, written in past tense, as if already done. Not I will, not I want, I did, I became, I am. Write it precisely. The declaration made inside the portal window is the beginning of the practice. The comment section below this video is a field of declarations. And yours, written now, anchors the intention at the peak of the window. Here is where the esoteric and scientific observations begin to converge. Lunar cycles have a measurable effect on the geomagnetic field of the Earth. This is documented, not theoretical. Geomagnetic fluctuations have been shown in multiple research contexts to correlate with changes in brain activity, heart rate variability, and sleep quality during full moon phases. What the ancient seers observed experientially, modern instrumentation has begun to confirm at the edges. The moon moves more than water. It moves the field. And because human consciousness operates within and responds to field conditions, the quality of that field has a relationship to the quality of experience available. The ancients built their entire ceremonial calendar around these fluctuations. They were not irrational. They were methodical, doing what careful observers always do, tracking patterns over time and extracting actionable principles. Ancient Egypt's relationship with the moon is often overshadowed by its solar symbolism. But Egyptian priests tracked lunar cycles with the same precision they tracked the solar year. The lunar calendar in Egypt was used specifically for ceremonial timing. The solar calendar governed agriculture and civic life, while the lunar calendar governed ritual and initiation. Specific lunar phases were considered optimal for different types of inner work. New moons for new intentions, full moons for amplification and release, and peak blood moon conditions for threshold work, the kind that moves a person from one state of being to another. Today is a threshold day by Egyptian ceremonial understanding. What you walk through today, you cannot walk back from unchanged. That is not dramatic language. That is the threshold principle. Thresholds are one-way doors. According to the Kybalion, the law of rhythm states that every pendulum swing in one direction is matched by an equal swing in the other. Every high has a corresponding low. Every expansion precedes a contraction. What the mystery schools understood, and what made this law actionable rather than just observable, was how to use the peak of a swing deliberately. The peak of the lunar cycle is the peak of a specific swing. The law of rhythm doesn't just describe what happens, it describes when to act. Blood moon portals, in Hermetic practice, are the peaks, the moment of maximum potential in the lunar oscillation. Working with the rhythm at its peak, rather than resisting it in its decline, is the difference between effort and effortlessness. Today the pendulum is at its apex. Tomorrow it begins its return. Act at the peak. Not every full moon carries the same weight. The Vedic tradition, one of the oldest continuous knowledge systems on Earth, distinguished between types of full moons based on their position relative to the lunar nodes, the points in the sky where the moon's orbital path intersects the ecliptic plane. Full moons near these nodal points carry what Vedic astronomy describes as a heightened, more penetrating quality of energy, more revelatory, more capable of surfacing what is hidden, more potent for specific types of energetic work. The blood moon, understood across traditions as a full moon of unusual intensity, sits in this category. Vedic lunar tradition specifically marked these high-potency full moons as windows for karmic clearing and deep intention planting. The ancient observation holds a blood moon reaches deeper than an ordinary full moon. It touches what ordinary moons leave undisturbed. There is something available during this window that is simply not available during ordinary time. The capacity to reach the deeper layers of programming in a single, focused session. Under normal conditions, shifting a deeply embedded pattern takes sustained, consistent effort over weeks. The field is dense, resistance is high. During a blood moon portal, ancient traditions consistently describe what can only be called a reduction in that resistance, a thinning of the membrane between conscious intention and energetic reality. This is why traditional portal practices are not about doing more. They're about doing specific things at the right moment. The portal doesn't ask you to work harder. It asks you to work now while the door is open, with the full intelligence of what the ancients preserved for exactly this kind of day. 3 independent ancient traditions, Egyptian, Vedic, and Mayan, each developed sophisticated portal practices around blood moons without contact with each other. The Egyptian tradition focused on threshold initiation, using the portal to cross from one state of consciousness to another through ceremonial practice. The Vedic tradition focused on intention planting and karmic clearing, using the amplified field to release accumulated patterns and set new directions with maximum potency. The Mayan tradition focused on alignment with larger cosmic cycles, using the portal to consciously align personal intention with the macro movements of universal rhythm. 3 frameworks, 3 approaches, all 3 pointing to the same conclusion. This moment is not like other moments. It deserves a different quality of attention. 3 independent civilizations do not accidentally agree. If this is already shifting your understanding of what today is, if you can feel that this isn't an ordinary Tuesday, let me know by liking this video. That feedback tells me this work matters to you, and it helps more people find it at exactly the right moment. Within the mystery schools of the ancient world, the school at Alexandria, the Pythagorean communities of southern Italy, the schools that preserved Egyptian initiation traditions through centuries of suppression, specific lunar practices were part of the advanced curriculum. This wasn't because the knowledge was being hoarded from beginners. It was because portal practices require a level of focused attention and inner readiness that only develops through sustained practice. What was taught in that advanced curriculum was this: blood moons are not passive events to be observed, they are active fields to be worked with. The difference between a spectator and an initiate in mystery school understanding is precisely this. The initiate knows that the portal is not outside. The portal is a state of field that you enter through your own deliberate practice. The Emerald Tablet of Hermes contains the axiom most frequently quoted across esoteric traditions: as above, so below, as below, so above. The Hermetic tradition doesn't present this as poetic metaphor. It presents it as a law of operation. What happens in the greater field is mirrored in the individual field. What happens in the individual field is mirrored in the greater. Today, there is a blood moon in the sky. That is above. By the law of correspondence, there is also a blood moon in you, a moment of amplification, a thinning of the membrane between what is visible and what is hidden, an opening in your own inner field. What you do with the opening below, in your intention, your practice, your declared direction, mirrors and activates the field above. The law works in both directions. Today, you are both the receiver and the activator. Ancient traditions across the world describe the full moon as a time of increased vibrational intensity. This language, vibration, frequency, resonance, feels modern because physics has given us precise tools to describe it. But the concept predates physics by millennia. The Hermetic law of vibration, preserved in the Kybalion, states, "Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates." Ancient seers understood vibration as a property of consciousness, not just physical matter. During a blood moon, the vibratory field of the earth and the consciousness field within it shifts. The Vedic tradition describes this as an increase in the lunar quality of mind, heightened intuition, emotional sensitivity, permeability to impression. The mystery schools taught how to work with this heightened vibration rather than be overwhelmed by it. The 9 practices you are about to receive are that technology. The traditions are consistent on this point. Portal windows benefit those who are awake to them. This isn't spiritual elitism. It's field mechanics. A signal amplifier amplifies what you put into it. An empty field, amplified, remains empty. The blood moon portal doesn't create something out of nothing in passive observers. It amplifies whatever is already operating in them, their patterns, their programs, their default states. For someone consciously working with intention, deliberately directing their attention and energy, the portal is an extraordinary accelerant. For someone moving through the day on autopilot, the portal passes without being used. The fact that you're watching this today is itself a signal. Something in you is already awake enough to be here. The only remaining question is whether you do something with that wakefulness. There are 3 things that consistently block access to the portal, according to mystery school teaching. The first is distraction. The mind scattered across dozens of inputs, unable to hold focused intention for more than seconds. The portal requires concentration. Not hours of meditation, but genuine focused presence during the practices themselves. The second blocker is unconscious resistance, patterns running below awareness, conflicting with your stated intention. The blood moon portal amplifies patterns, including resistant ones, which is why the clearing practices in today's sequence come before the activation practices. The third blocker is doubt held as certainty. Not skepticism, which is healthy and useful, but the settled decision that nothing will change. The portal cannot penetrate a wall the mind has decided to build. Openness is the first prerequisite. Without it, the window passes unnoticed. Before the 9 practices, there is a 0th practice, the preparation of your inner state. Ancient initiates didn't walk into a moon temple ceremony still vibrating from arguments or the noise of their ordinary day. They prepared. They arrived to the portal in a specific internal state, quiet, intentional, expectant without attachment. The Hermetic tradition describes this state as receptive activation. Not passive, not aggressive, but alert and open simultaneously. To prepare for today's 9 practices, you need 10 minutes alone, in a space where you will not be interrupted, with your phone on silent. You don't need candles, you don't need crystals, you need focused attention and genuine willingness to let the portal do what portals do. Move you from where you are to somewhere new. That willingness is not given by anyone else. It is chosen right now. The 9 practices of the blood moon portal are sequenced deliberately. They move from clearing to activating to declaring to sealing. You cannot skip the clearing phases to reach activation. That is like planting seeds in soil that hasn't been turned. You cannot skip the declaration phase and only do clearing, that is preparing ground and walking away without planting. The sequence is the practice. Follow it in order. Each of the 9 builds on what came before, and together they create a complete portal session that can be done in approximately 90 minutes. Begin as close to the evening peak as possible. The energy is at its most concentrated when the moon is highest in your sky. What you initiate at the peak initiates in a different quality of field than what you initiate at the edges. Let's begin the 9 practices now. If you've been working with these principles but feel like something deeper is still blocking you, not conceptually, but at the pattern level, the field level, I've left something specific in the first pinned comment. It's not for everyone. It's for those who are ready to move past surface-level understanding into direct work with the field itself. The first practice is silence. Not guided meditation, not visualization, silence. Set a timer for 9 minutes. Sit where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes. Do not guide your mind anywhere. Do not focus on your breath with technique. Simply stop. Stop producing, directing, performing, or managing your inner experience. 9 minutes of genuine emptiness. The mystery schools understood silence not as the absence of sound, but as the presence of full awareness without the noise of its own commentary. In Hermetic tradition, this state is described as dwelling in the all, the condition in which the mind returns to its source before thought arises. In that state, during a portal window, the field has direct access to you. You are not blocked by your own mental activity. You are permeable. 9 minutes of silence today is worth more than 9 hours of silence on an ordinary day. The second practice is the blood moon declaration. Take a piece of paper, physical paper, not your phone, and write in your own handwriting. Today, March 3rd, 2026, I declare from inside this portal, what you are activating, written in past tense as if already done. Write it in the first person. Write it as past tense. I received, I became, I created, I released, not future tense. The Hermetic tradition teaches that time is not linear but spherical. What you declare from inside a portal window doesn't point toward a future possibility. It collapses the distance between where you are now and where you are declaring. The past tense is not self-deception. It is a statement to the field about which version of you is primary. Write precisely. Be specific. Precision is the practice. The more specific the declaration, the more specific the activation. The third practice is water charging. Fill a glass, a jar, or a bowl with clean water. Place it where it can receive moonlight, on a windowsill, outside on a surface, anywhere the moon can touch it. The ancient Egyptian tradition preserved practices using water exposed to peak lunar conditions, used in ritual and ceremonial work. The Vedic tradition has an analogous practice, Chandra Jal, moon water, created during full moons and used for energetic clearing and intention amplification. The tradition is consistent across continents. Water exposed to peak lunar energy during portal conditions is described as carrying a different quality than ordinary water. The mechanism isn't fully mapped by conventional science, but thousands of years of consistent, independent practice across civilizations that had no contact with each other is not nothing. Tonight, before sleeping, drink the charged water. The water charging practice has a second layer. What you place near the water vessel during the charging matters. Take the declaration paper from the second practice and place it beneath the water vessel while it charges through the night. The Hermetic law of correspondence, as above so below, applies in every direction simultaneously. The water holds the frequency, the declaration holds the direction, and the portal provides the amplification. In the morning, after the portal has closed and the integration period has begun, drink the charged water with full attention, not while scrolling, not while multitasking. Drink it as a conscious act of receiving. The distinction between consuming unconsciously and receiving consciously is itself a Hermetic practice. How you take something in is part of what you receive from it. The fourth practice is shadow acknowledgement. The blood moon, in esoteric tradition across cultures, is specifically associated with what is hidden, the parts of the self that operate below ordinary awareness. The Hermetic tradition describes the full moon as the moment when the reflected light of consciousness reaches its maximum brightness, illuminating what normally operates in the dark. During a blood moon, this illumination is intensified. Rather than allowing what is hidden to surface unguided, which can manifest as emotional volatility or intensification of patterns you thought you'd resolved, the fourth practice surfaces it deliberately. Write down one thing you have been avoiding knowing about yourself, one pattern you can see at the edges of awareness but have not looked at directly. Write it without judgment. The act of naming the shadow in the portal window is itself a form of initiation. You cannot release what you have not acknowledged. The reason shadow work sits at the fourth position after silence, declaration and water charging, but before the activation practices, is structural. The Hermetic tradition teaches that activation without clearing is combustion without direction. If there are significant unconscious patterns running in your field, activating your field without addressing them amplifies both the pattern and the intention simultaneously, creating conflict in the field. You move toward your declaration, and the shadow moves against it with equal force. The practice of naming the shadow doesn't eliminate it in one session, but the act of bringing it into conscious attention during the portal window creates a different relationship with it. Seen clearly, the shadow loses its capacity to operate unseen. The mystery schools called this bringing into the light, not metaphorically, but literally, awareness brought to bear on what was previously operating in the absence of awareness. The fifth practice is conscious breathing. Not complex technique, a specific ancient rhythm. Inhale for a count of 3, hold for 3, exhale for 3, hold for 3. 3, 3, 3, 3. The 3-3 breathing pattern for the 3-3 gateway. Perform 12 complete cycles. The number 3 isn't arbitrary. It maps to the Trinity structure that both Hermetic and Pythagorean traditions place at the foundation of manifestation: the observer, the observed, and the field of observation. By using the 3-3 rhythm, you encode the pattern of today's portal directly into your nervous system. The Vedic tradition preserved breathing practices as primary vehicles for consciousness shift, because the ancients understood what modern neuroscience now confirms. Controlled breath patterns alter brainwave states, moving consciousness toward the alpha and theta frequencies where the field becomes most permeable to directed impression. While performing the 3-3 breathing pattern, hold your declaration in mind, not as a thought to analyze, but as an image, a feeling, a sensory impression of what it looks and feels like when what you declared is already real. The Kybalion teaches the law of mental transmutation. The mind that can hold a clear mental image with genuine feeling can influence the field around it. The breathing practice creates the state. The mental image provides the direction. 12 complete cycles of the 3-3 pattern takes approximately 4 minutes. 4 minutes of focused, directed breathwork during a portal window with the intention of your declaration actively held in consciousness generates more energetic impact than an hour of unfocused thought on any ordinary day. Breath is not symbolic. Breath is mechanism. You are using it as one. The sixth practice is release. Take the piece of paper from the fourth practice, the shadow acknowledgement, and destroy it. Tear it into pieces. If you have safe access to a candle and a fireproof vessel, burn it. If not, tear it thoroughly and dispose of it with the clear intention of releasing what it represented. The ancient mystery schools used fire as the primary instrument of ritual release because fire transforms rather than simply removes. What is burned changes state. The energy it held is freed. The Hermetic law of polarity states that everything has its opposite, and that what you deliberately release creates space for its complement to emerge. Releasing the shadow in the portal window opens the field for its opposite. Clarity, freedom, the absence of the pattern that had been running beneath awareness. Release is not erasure, it is redirection. The release practice is the most emotionally significant of the 9 for most people because it requires a genuine act of letting go rather than a symbolic one. The distinction matters. Symbolic release, going through the motions without genuine internal surrender, produces no energetic shift. What the mystery schools understood is that every pattern in your field requires your energy to sustain it. The ones that no longer serve you are drawing from the same reservoir that your intentions need. Every ounce of energy sustaining an old shadow pattern is an ounce unavailable for your declared direction. Release restores that energy. The portal amplifies the restoration. After the release practice, before moving to the seventh, pause for 60 seconds of stillness. Let the field settle. Let the space you've just created be space before you fill it again. The seventh practice is sound activation. The use of sound in sacred ceremony is perhaps the most universally preserved ancient practice on earth. From Egyptian ceremonial chanting to Vedic mantra to Tibetan singing bowls to the Psalms of the Hebrew tradition, every major ancient tradition understood sound as a vehicle for consciousness shift and field alteration. For the blood moon portal, the practice is specific. Hum a single, sustained note for 9 full breaths. Not a specific pitch. Whatever pitch arises naturally when you close your mouth and allow sound to emerge from your chest. This is your fundamental frequency. The humming creates vibration in the chest and skull, activating the vagal nerve system, shifting the nervous system toward the coherent, receptive state that Hermetic tradition describes as resonant alignment with the field. After the 9 humming breaths, add a vocal tone, a sustained AH sound or OM, if that resonates more naturally with you. The Vedic tradition holds that OM is the seed sound of creation, the primordial vibration from which all frequencies emerge. The ancient Egyptian tradition used an equivalent, the HU sound, employed in temple ceremonies during portal conditions, to align the practitioner's field with the ceremonial space. The specific sound matters less than the quality of attention behind it. You are not performing. You are embodying vibration. Feel it in your chest. Feel it in your skull. Feel it move through your hands. During a portal window, when the field is maximally permeable, the vibration you generate in your body transmits into the field around you. You are not just producing sound. You are tuning your instrument before playing the most significant note of the year. The 8th practice is precision gratitude, not generic gratitude, not "I'm grateful for my health, my family, my home." Those are real and important, but in portal work, generic gratitude is a blank check, energetically real, but without direction. Precision gratitude requires that you identify 3 specific moments from the past 12 months that carry genuine, felt appreciation. Not what you're supposed to be grateful for. Things that, when you recall them, produce a warm, expansive sensation in your chest. In Hermetic understanding, gratitude is not just an emotion, it is a frequency. The frequency of gratitude signals to the field that you have already received good things, which creates the energetic signature of someone who receives. Gratitude during a portal window doesn't only generate good feelings, it reconfigures the field's expectation of what you are available to receive going forward. For each of the 3 gratitude moments, do the following. Close your eyes, recall the moment in full sensory detail, see it, feel it, inhabit it for 30 seconds. Then say aloud, "And there is more where this came from." That statement is not affirmation for its own sake. It is a hermetic operation. By stating that more is available from the same source, you create continuity between past receipt and future receipt. The field operates in the present moment. It doesn't distinguish past from future. What you feel grateful for now, the field reads as what you are currently receiving. What you receive now continues. 3 moments, full sensory recall, the spoken statement, 30 seconds each. This is precision gratitude used as field mechanics, not wishful thinking. Applied Hermetic principle. The 9th and final portal practice is the 33-day intention. The blood moon portal doesn't close and leave everything exactly as it was. What you initiate inside the window leaves an imprint in the field that remains active for a specific period. And in Hermetic tradition, that period is 33 days from the portal opening. 33 days, the number of completion in the Hermetic cycle, the number that represents mastery through full experience of a cycle's arc. The ninth practice is to write a single sentence describing what you will do every day for 33 days to honor the intention you declared in the second practice. Not a list of resolutions. One practice, one daily act, specific and repeatable. The portal opens the door. The 33-day practice walks you through it. The power of the 33-day intention is in its specificity. Vague commitments produce vague results. I will be more intentional is not a 33-day practice. I will write one sentence of my declaration each morning before looking at my phone is a 33-day practice. The Hermetic tradition teaches that sustained repetition of a specific act creates what it calls grooves in the field. Patterns so consistently reinforced that they eventually become the default operating state of consciousness. The blood moon portal amplifies the beginning of that groove cutting. Day 1, initiated inside the portal window, cuts deeper than day 1 initiated in ordinary conditions. That is why you start today. That is why it matters that you are watching this now, while the window is still open. Day 1 with portal amplification behind it is not the same as day 1 without it. After the 9 practices, the field you've created needs time to consolidate. Here is the post-portal timeline the Mystery School tradition describes. In the first 3 days, you may notice heightened sensitivity, dreams more vivid, emotions closer to the surface, synchronicities appearing with unusual frequency. This is the field integrating the portal session. Do not interpret it as instability. It is reconfiguration. Between days 3 and 11, the reconfiguration begins to show in external reality. Small signs, unexpected alignments, the beginning of a shift in what you attract. By day 33, April 5th, 2026, those who have consistently honored their daily practice will notice a measurable difference in the baseline of their field. What feels normal will have shifted, not because the portal did the work, because you did the work in a window that made the work exponential. How will you know the portal session worked? The mystery schools were precise about this. Do not look for dramatic external signs immediately. Look for internal signs first. The first sign is clarity, a sense of having made a decision you cannot now unmake, even if nothing in your outer life has changed yet. The second sign is reduced resistance. The internal static around your declared intention has quieted. The third sign is the appearance of what the Hermetic tradition calls correspondent events. Things in your outer reality that mirror your inner shift in unexpected ways. These correspondent events are not proof of magic. They are the law of correspondence operating. As within, so without. What shifted inside during the portal begins, over the following days and weeks, to show in the outside. Watch for it without attachment. It will arrive on its own schedule. After completing the 9 practices, there are 3 things the Mystery School tradition specifically advises against in the post-portal period. The first is immediately reopening the noise. Scrolling social media, engaging in low-frequency conversations, re-submerging in the distraction that was your default before today. The portal creates an opening. Flooding it immediately with noise closes it before the integration can complete. The second thing to avoid is sharing what you declared with people who haven't asked and won't understand. Ancient initiates kept their portal work private for one reason. The field of a newly planted intention is fragile. Unsolicited skepticism from others can destabilize it before it has taken root. The third is checking every hour whether your declaration is working. You planted today. You water for 33 days. The harvest arrives when it arrives. Most people on Earth today will not know that this portal is open. They will move through March 3rd, 2026, with their attention on traffic, deadlines, the news cycle, every frequency except this one. That is not a judgment. It is the result of what happens when ancient knowledge is removed from circulation for centuries, when what mystery schools preserved in initiation chambers becomes inaccessible to the wider world. But you are here. You found this on the day it is most relevant. That is not nothing. In Hermetic tradition, there is a teaching that knowledge finds those who are ready for it, not those who are most educated or most spiritually advanced, but those who are genuinely open. The portal doesn't evaluate your credentials. It evaluates your readiness, and readiness isn't perfection, it's presence. There are two kinds of people who will watch this video today. The first kind will be moved by it, will feel something shift as the information lands, will recognize that today is different from other days, will resonate with what the ancient traditions preserved, and then will close the video, go back to their regular day, and wait for a future moment that feels more convenient. The second kind will act. They will silence their phone. They will find a quiet space. They will do the 9 practices in sequence, with full attention, inside the window that is still open tonight. Everything the first kind felt as recognition, the second kind turns into activation. The portal doesn't reward resonance, it rewards action. The question isn't whether you felt something watching this. The question is what you do with what you felt. There is a Hermetic teaching that, while it cannot be proven empirically, is preserved consistently across every mystery school tradition. Awareness finds what it is ready for. The texts that were hidden for centuries, the knowledge preserved in code by initiates who knew it would need to resurface at the right time. They don't circulate randomly. They surface when the person receiving them has the internal frequency to work with them productively. You didn't accidentally find a video about the Blood Moon Portal on the day the Blood Moon Portal is open. Something in your field found this, not your logical mind searching YouTube. Something operating at a level below conscious strategy. That something is what the Hermetic tradition calls the higher self, the aspect of you that navigates toward what is needed without being directed. The Hermetic tradition teaches that every initiate receives confirmation of their readiness at the moment they are truly ready to receive it, and that this confirmation almost never comes from the outside world. It comes from the quality of recognition that arises when they encounter true knowledge, not excitement, not entertainment, recognition, the deep, resonant sense of, I already knew this at some level, and now I am remembering. If you have felt that quality while watching this today, that is your confirmation. Not from this channel, from your own field. The mystery schools preserved this teaching not because it was mystical, but because it is mechanically accurate. The field responds to readiness. The portal confirms readiness by opening. Today the portal opened. You are here. That is the confirmation. Here is what the ancient traditions preserved about threshold moments like this one. They do not wait. The Blood Moon Portal is open right now, and it closes tonight. In hours, the field will shift. The window will be behind you. What was available at this exact intersection of date, lunar cycle, and collective energy will not be available again in this exact configuration. The practices you've received are not for some future version of you who will have more time, more clarity, or more readiness. They are for you now in the state you're already in. That is what portals require. Not perfection, but presence. Not completion, but initiation. You do not need to be ready. You need to begin. Beginning inside the window is everything. In 33 days, April 5th, 2026, those who open the Blood Moon Portal today will be in a measurably different field than they were on March 3rd. Not because the portal is magic in the theatrical sense, because the portal is a beginning, and what you do with a beginning determines where you arrive. The Hermetic law of cause and effect states that nothing happens without cause. The cause is today. The effect is April 5th. The question is not whether the law operates. It operates universally without exception in every field and every life, whether or not you are aware of it. The question is whether you directed the cause deliberately or let it run on autopilot. 33 days from now, you will either look back on today as the day you started something real or as the day you watched a video and kept scrolling. The window is measured in hours, not days. Everything you have received in this video has been in service of one thing, helping you use what is available right now, tonight, in this specific window of amplified potential. Every ancient tradition that preserved blood moon portal practices, Egyptian, Vedic, Mayan, Pythagorean, Hermetic, preserved them for a reason. Not for tradition's sake, not as religion, as technology. Technology for moments, exactly like this one, when a rare configuration of energy creates conditions where a focused session of practice produces results disproportionate to the effort. The mystery schools did not guard this knowledge to protect themselves from the outside world. They preserved it specifically to protect it for generations like yours, when it would be needed most. The window is open, the technology is in your hands. Every mystery school tradition that preserved blood moon portal practices also preserved what could be called the ancient promise, that those who approach the portal with genuine intention, complete the practice sequence with focused attention, and honor the post-portal period with consistent daily practice will experience by the 33rd day a measurable and undeniable shift in the field. Not an immediate miracle. Not an overnight transformation. A shift, the kind that only happens when the right practice meets the right window at the right moment with the right level of genuine engagement. That shift has been documented by initiates for thousands of years across traditions that had no contact with each other. The convergence of their testimony is itself a form of evidence. You're about to add your own testimony to that record. The portal is open, the practices are yours. The next move belongs to you. If you stayed until the end, write in the comments, "I opened the portal." I've placed another lesson on your screen right now, your next step on this path. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.